Alright, buckle up because a massive report just dropped. And that report claims that GTA 6 will hit 60 frames per second on the PS5 Pro. But news outlet Digital Foundry says, hold up, not so fast. So what's the deal? Is Rockstar secretly working with Sony to optimize GTA 6 for the Pro? Or is this just wishful thinking wrapped up inside insider hype? Today we're breaking down both sides of this leak. What DetectiveSeeds is claiming, why Digital Foundry says it won't happen, and most importantly, what you should expect on day one. Alright, first, let's talk about the big headline. A well-known YouTuber and leaker named DetectiveSeeds claims that Rockstar and Sony are working together to make GTA 6 run at 60 frames per second on the PS5 Pro. According to his source, allegedly a verified PlayStation engineer, Sony engineers are directly assisting Rockstar with low-level optimization. 60 frames per second is being hit in current builds on PS5 Pro. The PS5 Pro version will launch with multiple graphical modes. This optimization is tied to a wider marketing deal between Rockstar and Sony. So his claim is GTA 6 has been and continues to hit 60 frames per second while being optimized for the PS5 Pro. If true, that would make GTA 6 the first Rockstar open world game to ever launch on console at 60 frames per second. I mean, that is a huge technical milestone. But here's the thing, no Grand Theft Auto game has ever ran at 60 frames per second at launch on console. Not GTA 5, not Red Dead Redemption 2, Rockstar's games are infamous for pushing the CPU with tons of NPCs, weather systems, AI pathing, traffic simulations, and dynamic storytelling. Even the GTA 6 trailers, both have been rendered at 30 frames per second, which is already a strong signal. GTA games have always been cinematic and capped. So the idea of 60 frames per second on a technically heavier game than ever before naturally raised eyebrows, and that leads us to the next part. Richard Ledbetter from Digital Foundry gave his take in an interview with IGN, and later in breakdowns after trailer 2. His message, don't count on 60 frames per second. Here's what he said. Grand Theft Auto games have always run complex simulations that push the CPU hard. The PS5 Pro and PS5 both use the same CPU. You can't expect a big frame rate jump without upgrading the processor. And that's the key. The PS5 Pro improves the GPU and memory bandwidth, but not the CPU. And when you're talking about real-time world systems like pedestrians, vehicles, random events, and AI routines, it's the CPU doing the heavy lifting. So yes, the PS5 Pro will offer better graphics, better ray tracing, and potentially faster loading. But 60 frames per second, Ledbetter says not likely. So here's a thought. What if both sides are partially right? DetectiveSeeds says that GTA 6 hits 60 frames per second on the PS5 Pro in testing. That doesn't mean it will ship that way. That could be internal builds with debug settings, stripped down AI density, or alternate rendering modes. Meanwhile, Digital Foundry is basing their skepticism on what's technically feasible based on CPU load. They might not be wrong either. What that could mean is GTA 6 launches with multiple modes on PS5 Pro, one for visuals, one for frame rate, just like GTA 5 expanded and enhanced. 60 frames per second mode could lower crowd density, detail, or effects. Rockstar may still cap everything at 30 to maintain consistency across platforms. In other words, 60 frames per second might exist, but it could be a trade-off mode, not the default. Remember, Sony has the marketing rights to GTA 6. That partnership is real, and these kinds of collaborations do happen. Call of Duty had exclusive beta access on PlayStation. Hogwarts Legacy had content exclusive to Sony platforms for a year. And Red Dead 2 had early online updates on PS4. So even if 60 frames per second isn't a guarantee, the idea of Rockstar getting direct optimization support from Sony makes total sense. It's in both companies' interest to make the PS5 Pro version stand out. We might even see special edition PS5 Pro bundles, unique pre-order bonuses, and console-exclusive visual features. Now, let's be real. GTA 6 will likely run at 30 frames per second on all platforms by default, including PS5 Pro. Rockstar historically prioritizes cinematic fidelity. The CPU in the Pro is identical to the base PS5, but a 60 frames per second performance mode is still on the table. That mode may include visual compromises or scalebacks. The PS5 Pro will almost certainly offer better shadows, draw distance, and ray tracing. Bottom line, if you're hoping GTA 6 runs like butter at 60 frames per second on console, it will probably only happen on the Pro, and it might not be flawless. So let's recap all of this. DetectiveSeeds says that Rockstar and Sony are working together on a 60 frames per second Pro mode. Digital Foundry says it's not likely because the CPU just isn't built for it, and we're probably looking at 30 frames per second by default across all platforms. But hey, even if it's 30 frames per second, this will still be the best looking, most immersive GTA yet. And if we do get a 60 frames per second mode, that's just icing on the cake. So with all that being said, let me know what you think. Will Rockstar pull it off? Are you holding out for a Pro patch? Or are you just playing day one no matter what? Let me know in the comments below. And you've already made it this far, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss one of my GTA 6 uploads. Alright, with that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.